Grad Slam is a celebration.
Opportunity.
Electrifying, challenging.
Graduate students spend years on mind-bending research.
Mind-bending research.
Grad Slam gives you 3 minutes to communicate that research.
3 minutes.
Can it be done?
Grad Slam is an annual contest to communicate graduate-level research in just 3 minutes. The objective is to make the world-class research taking place every day here at UCI by our exceptional scholars accessible to anyone. For those who choose to throw their hat into the ring, Grad Slam provides the skills needed to engage the public in their research. It just so happens to come in the form of a pitch competition. At its core, Grad Slam is as much a test of communication skill as it is a showcase. Here at the Grad Slam Finals, once a year, UCI's graduate division is proud to bring to you a veritable highlight reel of the top-tier graduate education and research on campus.
All graduate disciplines from across campus are welcome to compete.
But this is a competition, and that means that after the last pitch is given, a champion will be named.
And there can be only one.
This is Grad Slam.
Good evening, and welcome to the 2021 UCI Grad Slam Finals. We are thrilled to have so many of you joining us this year in our reimagined virtual event. My name is Bree McWhorter, and I am the founder of Activate to Captivate and the speech coach for this event. I'm thrilled to be your host this evening. Whether you are experiencing Grad Slam for the first time or are joining us again, I want to welcome you to tonight's competition. I am honored to begin by introducing the Vice Provost for Graduate Education, Dean of the Graduate Division, and Kleist Professor of Informatics, Jillian Hayes.
I don't know about you, but after watching that intro, I am so excited. I'm honored to welcome you to truly one of my favorite events of the year. Last year was actually my very first Grad Slam event, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I had always heard such great things, and it is safe to say that I was absolutely blown away. This year we started off with 50 semifinalists, and we've now boiled it down to our top 10. What you're about to see are 10 of our elite graduate scholars effectively presenting their research in 3 minutes or less, with the winner being crowned 2021's UCI Grad Slam champion. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with what Grad Slam is, here's a few fun facts. This year marks the 7th annual Grad Slam competition, both system-wide and here at UCI. UCI claimed victory in that very first UC-wide Grad Slam competition in 2015. Ashley Fong won it with her presentation, Stem Cells, How to Mend a Broken Heart. And she now works here at UCI at the Cove. The winner of tonight's competition will represent UCI in this year's UC System-Wide Grad Slam Finals on May 7th, 2021 during their online event. So please be sure to mark your calendars, and we hope you will return to support our champion for that event. The UC System-Wide Grad Slam was created during a Council of Grad Deans meeting during the 2014-2015 academic year in collaboration with the UC Office of the President. It was based upon a competition model we imported all the way from Australia within its university system. The focus on the competition initially was to stress the importance of giving an elevator pitch when it comes to presenting your research. The current and main goal of our competition is to make sure students leave their graduate programs feeling comfortable talking about their research, being able to explain why it is so important, and doing this in terms that anyone can understand. So now, without further ado, I'm excited to turn it over to Bree McWhorter, who is going to get us moving this evening by introducing us to some important guests as well as this year's finalists.
Dean Hayes is right. Joining us this evening is you, our audience. And tonight we are thrilled to welcome all of you joining us virtually. And because every competition needs a cheering section, we are excited to welcome ours this evening. Hello there. Some lucky viewers are joining us live, literally from across the globe. Thank you all for cheering on our finalists today. We are delighted that one of the happy outcomes of a virtual event is that Grad Slam can now be experienced by anyone in our community, regardless of geography. Now, in addition to a cheering section, a competition needs judges. And we are fortunate to have an incredible panel of 8 individuals with us this evening. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed judges who have a very tough job tonight. First, we have Carol Choi, founder of the United Exchange Corporation, Andre Berengian, founder and CEO at CIE and managing partner at Resvin, Christine M. Nakamoto, ED, from the Dean's Leadership Council Board, Jane Buchan, Chief Executive Officer at Martlet Asset Management, Jennifer Friend, JD, CEO at Project Hope Alliance, John J. Tracy, PhD, former Chief Technology Officer at Boeing, Jim Meacham, PE, Principal at Altura, and last but certainly not least, we are thrilled to welcome back the 2020 UCI Grad Slam champion, Rebecca Riley. Now, I think it's important to mention that unlike previous years, in 2020 there was no system-wide Grad Slam competition. So when Rebecca was named as our 2020 UCI champion, she didn't get to compete against the other 9 UC campuses. That means she didn't have the opportunity to be crowned the UC Grad Slam champion. But we know how amazing your pitch was, which is why we are grateful that you can join us as a judge tonight. And to all of our judges, welcome to UCI's Grad Slam Finals. Next, I am thrilled to introduce our stars of the evening, the 10 Grad Slam finalists. We have Ing Huang, Poonam Ahuja, Jessica Vidmark, Tawhid bin Kashim, Leslie Hyde, Sri Wan, Daniel Azam, Shireen Jacob, Hamzi Radhakrishnan, and Ashley Hope. Now, we have one final group of esteemed guests that I am especially excited to introduce you to. Over the years, we have had some very competitive Grad Slam competitions here at UCI. Trust me, I have been lucky enough to see them all, and I have had the great pleasure of not just getting to work with the past finalists, but I've been fortunate enough to get to know them as individuals. And let me tell you, the past UCI champs, like Rebecca, who you just met a few minutes ago, are really something special. So it is a great pleasure to welcome back to Grad Slam for the first time 4 more of our past UCI Grad Slam champions. Please join me in welcoming the 2019 UCI Grad Slam champion, Rachel Rosenzweig. The 2018 UCI Grad Slam champion, Alana Ogata. The 2017 UCI Grad Slam champion, Megan Newcomb. And the 2016 UCI Grad Slam champion, and the UC Grad Slam second place winner, Mallory Hinks. Hey, ladies, welcome back. It's great to see you again. Now, I understand that tonight you will be sharing some very important information with everyone about the details of the competition itself.
That's right, Bree. Now that the judges and finalists have assembled, it's time to review the Grad Slam competition rules. Tonight, judges will be scoring finalist pitches according to UCOP's rubric and guidelines as follows.
Oh, it looks like we can't hear you, Rachel. Rachel, maybe you want to give us to that again because we couldn't hear you.
Sure, sorry.
That's great. No, we just really wanted to wait for you to give us the rules. Why don't you go ahead again?
The judges at the system-wide finals will not be academics, but rather influential citizens. Therefore, today's presentation
Rachel, maybe you want to give us to that again because we couldn't hear you.
Sure, sorry.
That's great. No, we just really wanted to wait for you to give us the rules. Why don't you go ahead again?
Jargon is discouraged in favor. Rather influential citizens. Therefore, today's presentation should.
One moment, please. We really want
The
you to
judges at the
gear up for
system-wide
this next
finals will
stage.
not be academics, but rather influential citizens. Therefore, today's presentation should not be judged solely on their academic merit, but on the significance of the research and the skill of the presenter to inform and engage their audience. Jargon is discouraged in favor of understandability.
Contestants may, but are not required to, use up to 3 PowerPoint slides in their presentation. Contestants who do not use slides should not have that automatically held against them.
Each presentation is timed, counting down from 3 minutes. Points will be deducted from the presenter's score for time over 3 minutes and 2 seconds. After each presentation, judges will be given a few minutes to score the presentation using the rubric. This year, we will all have an opportunity to get to know each of the finalists a bit better through some interviews, including a brief chat that they will have with our host, Bree, while the judges complete their scoring. But remember, it is only the pitch that the finalists are being judged on today.
And another important note to keep in mind, as we adjust Grad Slam to a fully virtual environment, is that finalists are no way judged on the quality of their audio or video. Rather, the judging focus is on the presentation and the ability to communicate research to a non-specialist audience.
At the end of the competition portion of the event, judges will briefly leave the live event space as the final scores are tabulated, reviewed, and confirmed in order for a champion and 2 runners-up to be determined.
Now, I'm sure that you're probably starting to catch on to the fact that competing in Grad Slam is no small task. So naturally, with great effort comes a great reward. But this year, all finalists will receive a $250 prize.
Wow, Mallory, that is quite a nice surprise. It means that no one leaves empty-handed today. But, let's not bury the lead and tell them what they get if they win.
All right, so tonight's 3rd runner-up will receive $1,000. The 2nd runner-up will receive $2,000, and tonight's winner will receive $5,000. We'll be named UCI's Grad Slam champion, and will go on to represent UCI in the UC system-wide Grad Slam competition on May 7th in the final showdown for the highly coveted title of UC Grad Slam champion, and of course, the Slammy.
That's a lot on the line tonight, Mallory. We know this moment well. But before we turn it back over to Bree to kick off the competition itself, I just want to encourage everyone to reflect on one thing before we begin. From those of you joining us at home to our judges and of course our finalists, let's remember that while Grad Slam will test skill, it is also a wonderful celebration of the promise of graduate education. We are about to embark on a journey through some of the best up-and-coming research at UCI by some of the most talented scholars prepared to launch.
Sorry, absolutely, Rachel. We're all doing this virtual thing for the first time. But that was beautifully said. And to the finalists about to lay it all on the line in the competition, we see you and we are rooting for all of your successes. Now, without further ado, let's turn it back over to Bree so she can officially begin tonight's competition.
Thank you. Tonight's competition will take place in 3 stages. First, we will get to learn a little about each finalist as individuals in a short introduction video. Next, we will see the finalists' 3-minute pitch. Finally, following each pitch, we will hear a little more from each finalist in a live interview. However, the only portion that is judged and scored is the pitch itself. And although we are in a virtual format this year, every aspect of the final pitch was done in the same spirit as the traditional in-person event. In addition, all of the judging and score tabulating is still taking place live, so the full integrity of the live competition remains. At the conclusion of the 10th pitch, our judges will be removed from the competition space for their final deliberation, and we will have a chance to hear more from our past champions, as well as Dean Hayes. With that, it's time. The 2021 UCI Grad Slam Finals competition begins now. I'd like to introduce our first contestant, Ying Huang from the Henry Samueli School of Engineering.
Hi, my name is Ying Huang. I'm a PhD candidate in Department of Material Science and Engineering. I grew up in the mainland of China. From there, so I did my undergraduate. Then I went to Houston, Rice University in Houston for my master's degree before I doing my PhD here, UC Irvine. An important person I met when I was undergraduate was my husband. After we met together, we went to Rice for master together, and now he's also in UC Irvine as a PhD student. We are in the same program. When I considering my future plan, I always thinking how I can contribute more to the world. And now I think to interact with business and law, and also of course the technology will be pretty important. I've learned play the piano since I was a child. I started from keyboard first when I was 4, just as a hobby, because as a little girl I loved everything about music.
Now that we've gotten to learn a little about Ying, it's time to hear her pitch, titled Cheerful Catalysts, Help Hydrogen Energy Come into Our Lives.
Imagine our lives without energy. We would not be able to turn on the light, make a cup of coffee to wake ourselves up, or drive to our favorite restaurant to enjoy the delicious Kung-Po chicken. That is terrible. What's worse, that might be our future. Currently, human beings are mainly relying on non-renewable energy sources, fossil fuels. If we are not going to change this situation, the nightmare will happen. That's why scientists are now trying to diversify our energy sources. That's how hydrogen comes into our lives. Hydrogen can be produced from multiple energy sources. It can react with the oxygen in the air and emit only water. During this reaction, chemical energy of hydrogen and oxygen can be converted into electricity. Sounds great, right? But in low temperature, hydrogen and oxygen will not react when they simply meet each other. They need a helper. This helper is what we call a catalyst in chemistry. For this reaction, the best helper is platinum-based materials. However, platinum is a very expensive metal. With platinum inside, everything benefiting from this reaction will be at a high price. Another choice is heat-treated iron-based materials. This costs much less, but the performance is not good enough. Well, unfortunately, I cannot control the price of platinum. But as a material scientist, I can try to improve the performance of iron-based catalysts. To make the product better, we need to understand more about its manufacturing process. Here, the heat treatment. Currently, this process is a black box. People have no idea how heat treatment turns the iron-based material into catalyst. What I am doing right now is to reveal this secret. How? Using X-ray and advanced microscopes. With the help of those techniques, I observe the process from chemical and structural perspectives. This helps me learn the transformation pathway of iron-based material into catalyst. With this information, I can make the heat treatment product with desirable properties. This means I will be able to make the cheerful and cheap catalyst to better help the hydrogen react with oxygen. The energy sources can then be diversified by letting hydrogen come into our lives. So we can still turn on the light, enjoy cups of coffee, and drive to wherever we like. Thank you.
That was amazing. So now, while the judges score, Ying, why don't we get to know you a little bit better?
Yeah.
What's something that not a lot of people know about you?
I feel like from most people's eyes, I'm not a person that is eager on outdoor activities, but I did have an experience that have 2 day walking in the trails in the West Southern China. I really enjoyed that journey, and actually I met a lot of new friends there, and I learned some local habitats there. And it was that journey telling me that I should try something I may not think myself will enjoy, but I did enjoy, and yeah, and that's why I'm here.
I think a lot of us can learn from that, thinking of things that we may not particularly automatically jump into.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it's very, very good advice. So, fast forward 5-10 years, where do you see yourself in your journey?
I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure that I will keep focusing on try to do the scientific communication to public, because I think this is a very interesting thing. And also from my own experience, when I talk about science to my friends, they may not be so interested in the very beginning, but once they know, they really learn about it, they understand what it is, they just enjoy and love it. So I think I will keep doing that.
Is there a particular topic you find yourself bringing up a lot with them?
It's actually about my own research. Is about the energy. So like when I talk with my friends, like I'm working on like battery and fuel cells and catalysts, they will look like, oh, what it is. Why should I care about that? But when I tell them how important it is and what I'm doing, like right now to try to improve the performance of those materials, and for those things we use every day, they actually become very interested in it, and they think I should keep working on it. So, yeah.
I think you absolutely should keep working on it. Please, please do, because I'm very excited to see what comes of this. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And now, let's get to know our next finalist, Poonam Ahuja from the Paul Mirage School of Business.
I'm Poonam Ahuja, and I'm currently doing my master's in business analytics at UCI. I have a family full of doctors. My brother is a gynecologist, mom is an Ayurvedic physician, and my late dad, who was an engineer, but he was always more inclined towards naturopathy. And as a child, I used to always wonder, what does it really take to take care of a patient? And one of the important things was the Midas touch of the doctor clubbed with the lovely impact of the medicines. And that's what as a child made me really interested in picking up pharmacy, understanding how the medicines act in a person's body and takes care of him. After having worked very closely with patients, it is very, very important that we are able to empathize with them and look at the bigger picture and look at solving their problems. Once we take care of this bigger purpose or the aspects of life, everything else falls in place. Running marathons is something which has always ensured that I was fit throughout, despite having a very busy schedule in my corporate life and also during my education. I think marathon training is something which has really helped me, and I have been able to participate in the marathon at Mumbai, where I have been obviously born and brought up, and I have participated in the half marathon till date. So my next goal for marathon is going to be participating in a marathon in US, and in addition to this, aim for the next bigger level or next challenge for me, which is running a full marathon. So that's my next goal and next step.
And now, let's hear Poonam's pitch on prediction of postpartum hemorrhage, PPH, using machine learning to identify patients at risk.
Becoming a mother is one of the most incredible experiences. Unfortunately, this could be a complicated one. The Taj Mahal, one of the seven wonders of the world, is a mausoleum erected in the memory of a life lost due to postpartum hemorrhage. Every year, millions of women die due to excessive bleeding post-childbirth, also known as postpartum hemorrhage or PPH. When a woman survives PPH, she has to undergo a lot of medical interventions. When a woman loses her life due to PPH, it could have a devastating impact on the entire family. 3 out of 4 children, they die within the first 6 months of birth. The family members need to adopt the role of a mother, thereby impacting their own lives. The loss of income deepens the poverty circle within the family. Hence, looking at the magnitude of this global issue, there lies an opportunity to prevent PPH and decrease the maternal mortality. One of the ways of doing this is by identifying the risk factors much before a woman actually goes into labor. And that exactly is the objective of my research, to use machine learning techniques like identifying the qualitative and the quantitative risk factors towards PPH. Adopting the regression models and the various machine learning tools, these models can be further fine-tuned for better accuracy and sensitivity. Within the purview of the Protected Health Information Policy, as per US law, I am trying to collect the data from local hospitals, validating the same, and scaling this project to a global level. With this, we take care of PPH with yet another 3 simple pronged approach of PPH, which is P for prediction, that is predicting the high risk cases, P for preparation, preparing the right timely interventions, and H for handling with care for better clinical outcomes. The overt benefits of this risk prediction model could substantially impact a woman's individual, social, and the financial burden on her health as well as the health of her family members. The overall healthcare cost associated with the care of a parturient woman. And last but not the least, the overall maternal mortality rate statistics, ultimately reducing the mortality, which is the aim of the United Nations Sustainable Goals Development. The hospitals can utilize this data for preventive measures and prophylactic measures of preventing PPH, and thereby making a big impact. So this giant leap of technology like machine learning could potentially be our small step to make motherhood a truly joyous and a safe experience. Thank you.
That is very important work. And now, Poonam, I'd like to ask you some questions so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure, Bree.
Favorite part of your career journey so far?
Well, I think the best part of my career journey has been able to make a difference in the lives of women. I have worked very closely in the women's health segment, right from taking care of infertility to taking care of menopause. And that has been like a huge range, right from menarche to menopause. And I think that is something which has given me immense satisfaction. And with my family being full of doctors, I've always got a lot of lovely insights which are clinically beneficial, and also it gives me a lot of patient insights. So I think that has been the most beautiful part of my journey.
Absolutely, yes, that's a large range there. And so I know we learned a little bit about you from your video, but what's one other thing that some people may not know about you?
Well, I think one side of me which not many people would be aware of is that I'm a very spiritual person. And that comes by, the fact that my entire family has always been very spiritually connected. And that's the values I have got right from my childhood. And I think the principles of spirituality, which I have learned in my life, have given me a lot of benefit in my personal and professional life. The top three principles which have really helped me, one is always being in gratitude. I think cherishing the present moment and enjoying the moment, which is actually decorated by God and pre-sent. Present is pre-sent by God. So I think that is one thing which has really helped me. Second thing is the fundamental of detached attachment, that is being able to disconnect yourself from the emotional aspects and being able to take fact-based decisions. And I think last but not the least is the virtue of being able to give back to the society. So I think these three things.
I love that, and I completely agree, especially about the gratitude part, and we are very thankful for you, and thanks for sharing your thoughts with us tonight.
Thank you.
And now, let's meet our next finalist, Jessica Vidmark from the Henry Samueli School of Engineering.
My name is Jessica Vidmark, and I'm a PhD candidate in the biomedical engineering department. I played tennis my entire life growing up. My dad used to always teach me, and then I, go play with the tennis club and get coached with my friends. In Sweden, we don't really have the varsity kind of system where you can play tennis with your university studies. So I started applying for universities in the U.S. to play collegiate tennis. I played for the Florida Tech Panthers in my undergraduate degree, and I just really enjoyed, not even just continuing to play tennis and be active and be competitive, but just getting that team spirit. When I went on to college, I got my degree in electrical engineering. Now I get to do research with kids who have movement disorders, and do neuroscience, and look at the brain. And it's fascinating, and I just love being able to apply my mathematical skills and engineering background to help people and really feel like making a difference. But the most important thing to me is that I'm able to move on and continue to help people and ideally develop products that can, like I said before, just help people regain these opportunities that most of us take for granted, like being able to move and being able to, live your life independently and to the fullest. Me and a group of some fellow students are working on developing a product that will help with the mixing of drugs that have multiple different components so that you can reduce the errors in usability and hence reduce the serious consequences that can come to people not being able to take their medications when they need to. So if that goes well, I might be working on my own startup in a few years when that all comes to fruition. So I've got a lot of exciting opportunities, and I know that whichever direction I end up going in, I'll be making a big impact in the world, and that's what matters the most to me.
And now for Jessica's pitch, Helping Kids Be Kids, Deep Brain Stimulation to Treat and Understand Movement Disorders.
I'd like you to do me a favor and think back on some of your fondest childhood memories growing up. Do they involve playing catch with your parents, digging into your grandma's yummy apple pie, or maybe something as simple as staying up all night talking secrets with your best friend? If you had grown up with dystonia, you might not have been able to do any of these things. As one of the most common movement disorders in the country, secondary or non-genetic dystonia affects over 75,000 children in the US alone. The patient shown here on the left, who I'll refer to as Ricky, is one of them, as are the other children that we see on a regular basis. This movement disorder causes involuntary twisting and repetitive movements that impede in these children's lives so much that many of them are unable to walk on their own, feed themselves, or even communicate clearly. While theories exist, it is still unclear what in the brain actually gives rise to these dystonic symptoms, and the medications to treat them are not always effective. When this is the case, a treatment method called deep brain stimulation can help. It works by sending electrical pulses into implanted electrodes through deep brain regions, where it somehow seems to block the unwanted brain activity from traveling through the brain. Now, while this method has been used for decades, the mechanisms behind it are still not well understood, which makes it difficult for us to provide the ideal treatment for each patient. Where in the brain should we be stimulating, and how? These are some of the things that I'm trying to answer in my research. I use deep brain stimulation electrodes as a tool to not only stimulate, but also record and track the brain's response as it travels through the brain. A neural response to a stimulation, such as the one shown here on the right, can tell us a lot of things. First of all, the mere existence of a neural response tells us that there's a connection between where we stimulated and where we recorded. Its delay, or the amount of time it took for it to get to this recording electrode, tells us the pathway that it took throughout the brain to get there. And finally, its amplitude or size can tell us how sensitive this pathway is to this particular kind of stimulation. By studying the brain in this manner, my research not only allows us to look into what actually goes on in the dystonic brain, but also understand how deep brain stimulation as a treatment actually works. This, in turn, allows us to provide our patients with the most effective treatment possible, so that ideally, each dystonic child's story can have as happy of an ending as Ricky's. You see, when Ricky was just a baby, doctors told his mother that he would never learn to walk on his own, and that eventually his seizures would kill him. Today, thanks to Ricky's deep brain stimulation treatment, he loves to dance, sing, and even plays football. Our research helps kids be kids. Thank you.
Amazing work. And now, Jessica, let's get to know you a little bit more.
Sounds great.
So you have a lot of different interests. I was curious, if you weren't being a researcher, what other career might you be interested in?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I mean,
even after I finish my PhD, I might, even if I don't stay as a researcher, I might go in to keep doing development of medical devices. So I am really interested in staying in the biomedical field. To me, it's really important to feel like what I'm doing makes a difference. And that is definitely the case right now, just working with the children that we see on a regular basis and being able to help them and actually live their lives to the fullest is very rewarding, and it helps get you through those rough days and helps perk you up on the positive days as well. I know growing up, I always wanted to be a tennis pro. I was never quite at that level, but that's something that I still really enjoy doing. I love sports and things like that. So maybe that would have been me in a different life.
Well, I'm glad, though, at least we got to have you in this world because the work that you do is incredible.
Thank you.
So, what's one thing that some people may not know about you?
Well, I talked a little bit about how I'm from Sweden, which some people can guess right away, some can't. But I have also lived in a lot of other places. So obviously I lived in the US and in Sweden, so 2 different countries, but I've also lived in 4 different states here in the US. I've been to a lot of different universities in my undergrad, my master's degree, and done internships. So I feel like I've kind of been a university tourist, which I really enjoyed. I mean, on my free time, what are some fun facts? I can solve 3 different kinds of Rubik's Cubes. That's like the geeky side of me. I like doing that. I love to sing and yeah, those are some fun.
It's good to let me know about this ahead of time because I'm terrible at that, so I will never ever enter a competition with you with Rubik's Cubes. It's very useful. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now, let's meet our next finalist, Tawhid bin Kashim from the School of Social Sciences.
Hi, I'm Tawhid bin Kashim, a PhD candidate in the Department of Political Science here at UCI. After college, I wanted to travel and get to know people in America, being from outside America. And I volunteered to be an apprentice farmer on a farm in Maine. I got to sow onions in the field and spinach and also sell it at the local farmers market. And I would kind of chat with people in this rural part of Maine and find out about what it's like to be American and living in remote Maine. Other than kind of my brief experience with farming, I love being out in the mountains. I've visited some of the national parks around California in Yosemite, but I would like to do kind of more mountain trekking in the US and see the different national parks. After I finished my master's program at Johns Hopkins University, I decided to take up a job teaching in the Department of Political Science at a university in Bangladesh, which is the country where I'm from. And at that point in my career, I was really not set on academia. It was a 50-50. I was interested in research, but I didn't know whether that was what I wanted to really do. But having sort of gone into teaching at a university, which was supposed to be for 1 year, but which ended up being 4 years, I really got to enjoy teaching. And teaching kind of taught me not to only ask questions that I was kind of myself interested in, but also there are all these students who are coming with their own curiosity and asking me questions which I then had to kind of find answers to. And that really made me appreciate the human value of teaching, and as well as the kind of the vital link between teaching, the kind of commitment to students, answering student questions, and the kind of questions that we ask in research about society and about politics in today's world.
And now we get to hear Tawhid's pitch. Unlikely refuge. Why states protect refugees in Southeast Asia.
Why do states protect refugees? Especially when we have more number of refugees in the world today than ever before in recorded history, at least since World War II. This is the question that keeps me up at night on my dissertation. I try to answer this question by looking at how different countries in Southeast Asia responded to the Rohingya refugee crisis in 2017 after the genocide that took place in northern Rakhine State. Whereas Bangladesh has taken in almost 1 million refugees, Indonesia and Thailand have repeatedly pushed back refugee boats carrying Rohingyas. Just to give you a sense of how much refugees are in Bangladesh, take the population of Dallas, Texas, 1 million, and then put them in an area the size of LAX. That's how many refugees are in Kutupalong refugee camp in Bangladesh. Now, why do countries like Bangladesh protect refugees and others do not? There are two refugee protection models in the world. One, pushed by the UN, tries to fund countries, provide resources so that they would sign on to refugee conventions and treaties that obligates them to protect refugees. Now, this runs into a problem. When national governments are being pushed to sign these conventions, they feel like they are taking on extra obligations, both in terms of resource as well as giving away a part of their sovereignty. So usually the response is no. The second approach is to try and empower local actors. So this usually means pouring funds into local governments like cities and provinces and increasing their capacity to handle refugees in the event of a refugee crisis. This might sound like a better idea, but this also has the potential to fail. Usually, when a local government is good at protecting refugees, local populations are not really happy that so much foreign money is going into protecting refugees and giving them benefits rather than themselves. As a result, you see a lot of local conflict arise between the population and the refugee group. Instead, what happens in Bangladesh is slightly different. A country that is used to natural disasters, in 1991, when the first influx of Rohingya refugees took place, they repurposed a seemingly insignificant ministry called the Ministry of Disaster Management, which was used to providing relief to citizens without asking who they were. They repurposed this ministry to then protect refugees. Now, this seemingly insignificant choice led to that ministry becoming more and more involved with protecting refugees without asking whether they're outsiders or Bangladeshi citizens. In 2017, when Rohingya refugees came in to the tune of 1 million, this ministry also did not ask whether they were outsiders or insiders. As a result, you have this accommodation of the largest refugee camp in the world. So the takeaway is, it's not only about putting in money and signing convention, it's also about choosing the right ministry that has a genetic makeup of helping people.
Now, Tawheed, I'd like to chat with you a little bit so everyone else can get to know you a little more. Hello.
That's good for you.
So you talked a little bit about
Hi.
teaching in your package. What advice would you have for someone thinking about going to grad school?
I think if someone's thinking about going to grad school right out of college, I would say maybe pause and get a teaching job, right? Because part of what we do as researchers is also teach, right, in universities, and listen to other people asking questions before you kind of formulate your own questions that you want to explore in a PhD program. That has helped me immensely as I taught and heard my students ask me different kinds of questions, and I want that for other people as well.
And because I'm asking everyone else, what's something that some people may not know about you?
So I grew up in Bangladesh until I came to college at the age of 17. But 2 years when I was in 5th and 6th grade, my family was in this small country called Brunei Darussalam. It's in Southeast Asia that not many people have heard of. So I had to move with my family to Brunei, and I didn't know any English. I was put into a school and I didn't know the local language, which is Malay. And so I had to very quickly learn to survive, to even go to the bathroom, these two languages. And that was an incredible kind of challenge. But I think being put into that situation, I also learned the kind of benefit of really immersing myself in a different culture. And that has been incredibly enriching and has kind of given me this kind of lifelong interest in getting to know other people from other cultures and circumstances of their life, their politics.
Well, we're certainly glad that you're here now, and I really thank you for spending time with us tonight.
You're welcome.
And now, let's meet our fifth finalist, Leslie Hyde from the Center for Complex Biological Systems.
I'm Leslie Hyde, and I'm in the Mathematical, Computational, and Systems Biology PhD program. So I have the coolest part-time job. I work for NASA. I do mission modeling for their deep space network, which is the moon and beyond. I look at communication needs of different spacecraft for the next 40 years. So I'm doing things that are launching on the Artemis program, little CubeSats that are going up, all the way to the Mercury lander we're sending out in 2035. I model all of that, and it's a fantastic job. I love it. It's so interesting. What I do at NASA is completely different than the research I'm doing in Dr. Downing's lab. At NASA, I do a lot of research into the components of the spacecraft, of its communication systems, and I have to input all of these things into a very complicated system that they have that analyzes everything, and it's very complicated. That is more research and modeling based. What I do for Dr. Downing's lab with the methylation project is a lot of coding, because I take these simulated data sets and I analyze them, and we make the data sets resemble certain biological systems. And then I have to write these codes to see if I can organize all of the different DNA reads into an order that makes sense and that is usable, and that hopefully will turn into different organs and all sorts of amazing science in the future. I would not be able to go to school and have the part-time job and have an amazing daughter without my husband. He is my rock, and I am so blessed to have him take care of her while I'm studying my butt off. I have the perfect life. Studying your butt off. Yes, I studied my butt off.
And now, let's hear Leslie's pitch. Window of opportunity, quantifying DNA methylation pseudotime to rewrite a cell's fate.
Every once in a while, we unlock a potential so powerful it reaches out and changes humanity forever. In 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick identified the double helix structure of DNA from X-ray images taken by Rosalind Franklin. And in the 68 years since, manipulation of the genetic code has exploded into countless applications and industries. Genetically modified crops, mail-order DNA genealogy kits, new vaccines developed in less than a year to combat worldwide pandemics. And still, we have only barely begun to understand the staggering complexity of this tiny but immensely powerful molecule. Within each of us are trillions of identical copies of DNA encapsulated in the nuclei of our cells. Brain cells, liver cells, skin cells all have the exact same blueprints necessary to make every protein our bodies could ever need. But if every cell has the same master plan, why do they all act differently? Epigenetics and DNA methylation. As an embryo develops, it reaches a point where the cells begin to differentiate, to become a heart, a nervous system, a skeleton. Methylation is when methyl groups attach at various points along the DNA strand to either prevent or promote the expression of specific genes. For example, muscle cells don't need the dendrite structures of nerve cells, so those genes are suppressed. Once a cell has been methylated, the children of that cell are usually methylated the same way following each division. But what if they weren't? During mitosis, there's a narrow window of time where each resulting child cell is only half methylated from the half of the DNA that came from the parent cell. The newly added complementary DNA is unmethylated, but only until new methylase enzymes can attach. Now, what if we could stop the process, or even redirect it? It may be possible to essentially rewrite a cell's fate to become a different cell. The problem is, no one has been able to identify nascent cells at this key cell fate juncture. Current genomic sequencing technology cannot pinpoint this narrow window because their DNA libraries come from cells at varying stages in the cell cycle. That's where I come in. Determining the age of cells based on their position in a biological process is known as determining their pseudotime. No one has yet developed pseudotime based on methylation signatures. My research is to quantify methylation pseudotime in order to identify nascent DNA strands. Once identified, a whole host of new, targeted experiments can be performed with the ultimate goal of redirecting cells to perform different tasks. Someday, from a simple swab inside a patient's cheek, we could grow a replacement liver or kidney, or replenish bone marrow with a perfect match. My work will be a vital step in unlocking this potential, and once we succeed, humanity will be changed forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. And now, let's get to know you a little bit. Now, let's be honest, it's going to be hard to top NASA, but is there anything else that some people may not know about you?
There are actually two things that people don't know about me. The first one is that I have no Google foo, which is when I don't know something and I need to look it up online, I don't even know the right keywords to use to get the information that I want. I have no foo, no Google foo. I can't find anything when I look online. It's terrible. And the second thing is that I really want to dye my hair a crazy color. It's the pandemic. I'm at home. Nobody can see me except for right now. But I want to go blue or purple or something crazy. But I just haven't had the guts to do it yet. So
have you tried the filters to give you a taste of what it's like, and so you can sort of, in the virtual world, feel it out?
What do I have to Google in order to pick up one of those?
I see the problem. I'm understanding now. Never mind. We'll talk afterwards.
Oh, thank you.
And then if there's maybe one piece of advice you have for people thinking about grad school, what would that be?
Wow, that's a really good question. I would have to say, just do it. Because I have imposter syndrome, which is where I don't think I'm as smart as all these other people in my labs and classes. Like, they're brilliant and they know how to work all this complex equipment, and I don't know any of this stuff. But that's the thing, I'm here to learn. I don't know any of this stuff yet. So when I was applying for grad schools, I was like, am I smart enough? Am I good enough? And I'm just really glad that UCI gave me a chance. And I know that I'm going to study my butt off. And I will know all these things, and I will be good enough. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we are all learning from you all tonight about the fabulous research that you're doing. So thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
And next, I'm excited to introduce you all to Sri Wan from the School of Education.
Hi, I'm Sri Wan. I'm in the PhD program in education. I was born and raised in a small town in the middle area of China. Prior to pursuing my PhD here, I earned my bachelor's degree in engineering and a master's degree in psychology. As a first-generation student, I have a strong passion for contributing to knowledge about how to best support all students' learning. I heard from a friend that her boyfriend used to try rowing. I thought that was really cool, so I sent an email to the president of the UCI rowing team, and then he actually responded to me pretty soon. So the next morning, I went to the boathouse at Newport Beach and watched their training. And after that, I went to practice almost every morning that year. Rowing is definitely a sport that requires teamwork. And I think it's nice because you can make friends. And also, for rowing, you have to learn to manage your time well because you have to wake up early in the morning and practice for maybe 2 hours. Then you come back to your normal school life. After I graduate from UCI, I plan to find a postdoc position and pursue my career in academia because my passion is educational research and I want to contribute to the knowledge of how to support students' learning and how to help every student to achieve their potential.
And now we get to hear Sri's pitch to help us think about, am I a math person or a reading person? Don't decide too soon.
Imagine you are a middle schooler and you think you are really, really good at math. How would your self-confidence in your math influence your school life? Research shows that compared to those who don't think they are good at math, you'd be more likely to engage in math class and get better grades. When you enter high school, you'd be more likely to enroll in more math classes. And in college, you'd be more likely to choose a math-related major. We saw that our perception of what we are good at can predict our future achievement and choice. But how do we figure out what we are good at? Well, we listen to what our parents and teachers tell us about ourselves. We use the grades from school and compare them with those of our classmates. However, we may not have realized that we also rely on another source. That is, we compare our performances across different subjects such as math and reading within ourselves. For example, 2 high schoolers, Andy and Chris, both get a B in math, but for reading, Andy gets an A and Chris gets a C. As a result, Andy would perceive himself as a reading person, while Chris would perceive himself as a math person. In one sentence, our comparative strength shapes our self-perception. This could be a problem in some cases. Nowadays, girls perform as well as boys in math, but their huge comparative strength in reading may lead them to feel less confident in math. So, they would avoid pursuing math-related careers. To address problems like this, we need to understand when and why our comparative strength starts to shape self-perception. My research found that as early as the 3rd grade, self-perception is influenced by comparative strength, and such influence goes up as we grow older. My colleagues and I think that social environment plays a big role in the process. Our society values specialization and pushes us to pursue specific fields early for potential economic benefits. But if the goal were to help everyone pursue what they value and achieve their potential, then society should allow us to delay when to make educational choices. As an individual, don't decide too soon on what you are good at. To find your passion, it's worth spending time exploring more.
Now, Sri, can we chat with you a little bit so we can get to know you a little better? You talked a lot about education and how important that is for you. When you think maybe 5 or 10 years down the line, what dream job do you see yourself having?
Thank you, Bray. That's a great question. I feel like I'm currently doing my dream job. I really enjoy my research. I like working with some of the most intelligent people in this world, and we work together to try to better understand the world and try to help children to learn better and achieve their potential. Yeah, so I hope if I'm lucky enough, maybe 5 years later, I have the opportunity to keep doing the same thing.
I completely agree with you on that. I feel like I have the best job too. So,
Thank you.
What's something maybe not a lot of people know about you?
Yeah, I would say that I used to plan to become a therapist, like a clinic psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
So I attended a lot of training workshops for like drama therapy or dance therapy, and I even passed an exam and got a license for working as a clinic, not a clinic, but a counseling psychologist in China.
Wow. All right. I wasn't expecting that as an answer. And then
Yeah.
what's maybe, since you have so many accomplishments in your career as this license and through the rowing, what's one
Thank you.
moment you're very proud of so far?
I think, yeah, that's a good question. I think I would be proud of myself if my parents are proud of myself. I mean, if they are proud of me. So I think they are proud of me studying abroad and working on my PhD. So I'm also proud of that.
Well, we're very, very proud of you too. So
Thank you.
thank
That's
you for all of your work and for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Now, let's take a moment to meet our next finalist, Daniel Azam in the MD MBA program.
Hi, my name is Daniel Azam. I'm part of the MD MBA program at UC Irvine. One of my favorite accomplishments during medical school was actually creating Diary of a Med Student, which is a book that I created to offer a safe space for med students all over the country to reflect on our emotions and share them as tales in a diary. And for me, it was especially important during the COVID-19 pandemic right now, with all the isolation that's going on. And I really just wanted to show medical students and doctors that we're not alone and that we're all in this together. We recently actually published the book, and this is what it looks like. We got a quote of praise from Dr. Abraham Verghese and a ton of support, including a preface by the Dean of the UCI School of Medicine. Right now, I'm working on turning this into a nonprofit organization and using 100% of the proceeds from our book to create our annual Medical Humanities Scholarship Fund. And so that's where this is heading. Every year, I want to have an annual scholarship contest so that the mission can live on. And every year, students will submit their winning stories and have a chance to win our scholarship. So freestyle soccer is basically the art of performing creative tricks with a soccer ball. Co-founded my own company called Innovation LA, where I went and performed and competed all over the world at the national, international, and world finals, and did a bunch of USA tours around the country with companies like Red Bull. I take different disciplines like breakdancing, hip hop, gymnastics, and combine that to create something that the world has never seen with the soccer ball. The next step in my journey of life is to follow my dreams of becoming an eye surgeon. And that's something that I've always wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. My hero growing up was actually my eye doctor, who gave me vision to be able to play soccer.
Now, let's hear Daniel's pitch on digital epidemiology. The future of medicine is hiding in plain sight.
Today I'll be presenting Digital Epidemiology, the future of medicine is hiding in plain sight. If the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us one thing, it's how important it is to be prepared. In my research, I strive to figure out what's going on with the population in real time to prepare hospitals, scientists, and public health officials for what is coming. This is called digital epidemiology. Now, let me give you a quick background. Years ago, by comparing the popularity of various internet searches over time, Google successfully predicted viral outbreaks for the flu, West Nile virus, and even HIV faster than the CDC. Now, the outbreak that I'm interested in is dry eye disease. Dry eye is agonizing. It impacts the quality of life of 1 in every 5 Americans. What it feels like is hundreds of tiny sand particles rubbing into your eyes like sandpaper. And not only that, it diminishes your vision. It's like trying to see when your mask is fogging up your glasses. My story is that here in our eye clinics at UC Irvine, which is shown by the eyeball on the map here, we were seeing a large increase in dry eye disease, and we didn't know if it was only our part of the nation. Leveraging this technology developed by Google, I set out to analyze the whole country's Google searches for dry eye disease and correlate that with environmental risk factors from the National Climate Database. And what I found is that dry eye disease is now a nationwide epidemic. And specifically, I found two key trends. Number one, there was a significant pattern of seasonality, with dry eye being highest in the spring and lowest in the fall. Number two, the strongest environmental predictor of dry eye was urban population percentage. Using this data, I was able to map dry eye across the whole US geography, localizing hotspots of dry eye in areas of high urban population and along the coastal zones. My take home for you today is this: if we can prepare for what is coming, we will know where to help. But this doesn't stop with dry eye disease. This technique can then be used for a limitless variety of different illnesses. So whether you have dry eye or not, we've all been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And my hope is that future researchers will be able to use our digital epidemiology techniques to spark a new era of epidemiology using machine learning for earlier detection of future pandemics through surveillance of symptoms within Google searches. Faster prediction means better resource allocation to prepare hospitals, earlier discovery of curative drugs and vaccines, and guiding public policy to prepare for future disease pandemics ahead of time. Thank you.
That's amazing and very valuable work. Daniel, let's chat with you a little bit.
Sure.
Accomplished a lot. What's next in your journey?
Yeah, so actually the next step of my journey is through my medical residency, where I'll be pursuing ophthalmology, which is actually eye surgery. And I'll be going next year to Tufts University New England Eye Center in Boston.
That's yay! You've got it planned out.
Yeah.
And I know we heard a little bit about all of the work that you're doing, but what's something else people may not know about you?
Yeah, so everyone knows that I love soccer, but something that not too many people know about me is that I'm also an ultramarathon runner. And that actually started years ago when I did my first 500-mile pilgrimage by foot from France to the ancient end of the world at the tip of Spain. And so after doing that whole spiritual and physical journey, then I kind of asked myself, well, if I can walk so many miles, then I could probably run so many miles. So that's kind of how I got into running. And from there, it just took off. And actually, this year, I just qualified for the World Summit of Trail Running, which is called the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, which is a race that takes place at Mont Blanc in France and Switzerland.
Wow, how long is that?
That one is 50 kilometers. So it's a good, it's a pretty long distance. But the exciting part about it is that you're going like up and down through the mountains. So in the bottom of the valley, it's nice and warm. But then as you go up to the top, it's covered in snow. And you're kind of out there in the wilderness on your own, facing nature.
Well, I think I'll definitely take the advice to walk those miles before attempting the running, but I'm very, very impressed. And
right,
good luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And now, let's hear from our next finalist, Shireen Jacob from the School of Education.
Shireen Jacob, PhD candidate. I grew up in Ohio, and a favorite aspect of my early life is growing up in a multicultural family. My mother's from Egypt, and I grew up speaking Arabic, and I also grew up in a high poverty household.
So you're next.
I'm very mixed in having like both aspects of Middle Eastern and US American culture as part of my identity. These factors kind of shaped who I am as both a person and an educator. And so this is why I really promote computer science education for multilingual students, because it's such an empowering career that gives students power and prestige in the 21st century and also helps them function better as citizens. But at the same time, I'm also teaching the language skills that will enable them and empower them to overcome the types of barriers that I myself faced as a child. Do things you enjoy in the second language, like listening to music, and really just try to immerse yourself in the culture, but also be proud of your first language. Be proud of the language that you grew up speaking and use that and the similarities between your language and the language that you're learning to help you learn. Most recently here at UCI, especially during the pandemic, I've taken up paddleboarding. I find it a safe way to get out and experience the outdoors, and it's also such a beautiful and calming sport that really helps when you're doing something like a PhD. You can go out there and paddle and just enjoy the beauty, whether it's the ocean or a harbor or canals. So I really think I've taken advantage of Southern California and hope to stay in Southern California when I graduate so that I can continue to enjoy the beauty that this place holds.
And now for Shireen's pitch on breaking the code, unlocking computer science for multilingual students.
We depend on technology, even before 2020, but especially now, we wouldn't even be able to get through this pandemic without the use of computers. We need to know how they work in order to be able to use them. But unfortunately, second language learners do not have the same types of opportunities as other students to learn computer science. Some students have opportunities through coding camp and robotics clubs, but this is not true for all students. In fact, high schools with 12% or more students designated as English learners offer half as many computer science courses as other schools. It is so important for us to be giving equal opportunities for all students. This is why I want to provide computer science exposure at a young age so that all students have the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that will prepare them for more advanced coursework in computer science and perhaps even choose a STEM career. This is personal for me. Growing up speaking Arabic in a high poverty immigrant household, I know what it feels like firsthand to not have the same learning opportunities because of the way that you speak. I will not let this happen to the next generation. I am working with a team of UCI researchers alongside teachers from Santa Ana to develop the first curriculum to help predominantly Latinx multilingual students from low socioeconomic backgrounds learn computer science. We help students in grades 3 through 5 code in Scratch, a child-friendly visual coding language that helps them learn about key computational thinking concepts, such as sequence, loops, and conditionals. We also supplement their coding with stories about diverse pioneers in the field of computer science and the role of technology in society. More importantly, we added sentence frames so that students had the language to use computer science and to express themselves and their ideas. We wanted students to be able to learn computer science and language at the same time. We have piloted this curriculum in classrooms across Santa Ana with outstanding results. It was so wonderful to see students learn computer science and language at the same time. They also began to practice at home and encourage their families to enroll them in extracurricular opportunities. We are now scaling this curriculum out to all 4,000 fourth grade students in the district, and other districts such as San Francisco and Chicago have shown interest. By unlocking the doors to computing, we help diverse learners develop the types of creative and innovative approaches to solving problems that we as a nation face. By breaking the language code, we not only help all students, but with them, build a better and more just world.
Thank you, Shireen. And now let's get to chat with you a little bit.
Thank you.
So I know that you're helping build this program for students, but I'm curious, what was your favorite subject when you were in school?
Well, I really liked English language arts in high school, but as an undergrad, I actually studied philosophy, which is something a lot of people don't know about me. I got my BA in philosophy, and I just really love thinking about the way that thought has kind of evolved over the centuries and how it affects us, how it affects the social practices that we engage in. So that's one of my interests that that I'm kind of interested in.
Do you have a favorite philosopher?
Yeah, I actually really like mysticism, especially East Asian mysticism, like the Xuanzu, the Lao Tzu, kind of Taoist philosophies. I think it's such a brilliant body of work that came out of that work.
Absolutely. And then if you could think back on everything that you have accomplished, which is a lot, what's one thing that you're especially proud of?
You know, I'm really just especially proud of seeing students' faces light up when they're working on the curriculum that I helped to develop. And, you know, there's so much that goes on in a PhD with research and grants and working, but it's really about being in the classroom and being with those children and just seeing them learn and build confidence that, you know, they don't have to do computer science, but now they're empowered to choose whether or not they want to code. And I think that's really empowering, and I really love to see that.
I love that, and I'm sure that all of the kids that you're helping are very, very appreciative of the program and the work that you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, let's meet another wonderful researcher, Hamsi Radhakrishnan from the School of Biological Sciences.
Hi, I'm Hamsi Radhakrishnan, and I'm a PhD candidate in the Department of Neurobiology and Behavior with Craig Stark. What drew me to neuroscience is kind of what draws anybody to neuroscience. The brain is such a complicated and interesting thing, and it makes us who we are. And I've always been really interested in why people act the way they do, or just really interested in people in general and their stories and their behavior. As time passed by, I really started to get really interested in the way the brain can go wrong in terms of different disorders. And that's how I got really into clinical neuroscience, and I really wanted to find ways to help these people. In high school, I discovered slam poetry, which is basically just really dramatically reading out poetry that you've written, and I just extremely enjoyed it because I loved writing and reading poetry to begin with. It was a great place for me to express myself, but also the fact that I could just really put my voice into it gave me a lot of joy. So I spent a lot of my college years performing slam poetry in little pubs and little cafes, and that's one of my fondest memories in college. During the pandemic, I found so much free time on my hands. And so I started to really explore all these areas of hobbies that I'd never had time to do, or just would want to go out instead, and now I couldn't. So I just started to explore all these things. Lately, I've gotten super into crocheting, and so this is my little Yoda in progress. I want to show it because it's the most lopsided Yoda ever. But so this is another hobby I've been trying to do. It's just it's very relaxing, and it definitely helps me take my mind off of things while also focusing my mind on one thing, and I've enjoyed it.
And now let's hear Hamsi's pitch on diffusion diagnosis, using water to image the brain.
The average human brain has about 200 billion cells. In fact, there are more cells in our brain than there are stars in our galaxy. These cells are of many different types and serve many different purposes, from providing integrity to the structure of our brain, protecting us against infection, to forming the basis of all of our behavior. Now, as you can imagine, changes in the number of our cells can result in many horrible diseases. And being able to detect these changes at an earlier stage may enable earlier diagnosis, potentially resulting in life-saving treatment that might not have been possible otherwise. Now, unfortunately, it is currently impossible to count cells in the human brain, mainly because cutting open a person's head when they're still alive is frowned upon. A promising solution to this problem has been in the evolution of a non-invasive technique called diffusion-weighted imaging. So diffusion-weighted imaging is a special kind of MRI that uses a really powerful magnet to track the movement of water molecules in the brain. It takes advantage of a simple physics concept. Water tends to take the shape of the container it is in, and it tends to move along it. By tracking the movement of these molecules, we can make inferences about the underlying structure of the brain. This technique has often been used to study connections between brain regions, but has never been used to count cells in the brain before. However, as different types of cells are shaped differently, and water tends to move differently depending on how packed a given region is, this technique has potential. So my research uses a combination of diffusion-weighted imaging, machine learning, and some more fancy math to try predicting cell counts from this water signal. So far, we've been able to successfully build a mathematical model that can accurately estimate the counts of different types of cells in the mouse brain. We had to start off with the mouse brain because we need to know the true number of cells to assess how well the model works. The next step is to implement a similar pipeline in the human brain. Neurological disorders like Alzheimer's disease are extremely heartbreaking, and this pipeline could be a very powerful, non-invasive, and clinical tool that could enable earlier diagnosis and hence more proactive treatment strategies that could save many lives. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Now, Hamzi, let's get to chat with you a little bit. So I did not know about the slam poetry situation, and that really excites me. Is that maybe an alternative career that you might have if you weren't in research, or is there something else you might do?
I don't know if they pay poets that much, but they don't pay researchers that much. But I don't know. I've always wanted to make commercials. So that I don't think I'd ever do it, but I've always been interested in how commercials were made. So that could have been an alternative career.
You cut out a little in the studio, but it was all fantastic. I'm sure everybody else heard you. Now, my next question for you is, I keep thinking about the Yoda. Is that the best project that you're the most proud of so far? Or is there another endeavor on the horizon?
That is the first thing I did. It turned out better than I expected it to. He has a robe and arms and ears now. He's not a malfunctioned, broken Yoda anymore. So it turned out better than I expected, for sure. But I haven't been doing anything since then, no.
And then when you look back on your career, what's one moment that you are particularly proud of?
That is a loaded question.
Or one of the many things.
That's not why it's loaded. I think graduating college was definitely like a special moment, like it is for most people, I'm guessing. It was I didn't particularly enjoy the things I did in college, but so I was kind of happy to be done with it. But it was also a very pivotal moment. I had a college degree, and that was pretty exciting.
And it led you here, which is incredibly good. And then maybe what's one other thing that you have been involved in on campus that has been rewarding for you?
Oh, thank you for that question. So I've been doing outreach with CNLM and Manuel Ayasa, and what we do is we have these events where we go to schools. I mean, we used to go to schools back when it was legal. We used to go to schools and talk to them about the brain and show them human brains and just talk to them about how cool neuroscience is. And that was always really rewarding because kids ask the coolest questions, and they kind of you can feed off their curiosity for a really long time. So no, I think I'm still feeding off of a lot of their enthusiasm.
I'm right there with you. I completely get it. Well, thank you very, very much. And now, but certainly not least, let's meet our final contestant, Ashley Hope from the School of Medicine.
Hi, my name is Ashley Hove, and I'm a second-year medical student. Every time I have like a long weekend or a break, I plan a trip. I haven't been able to go on any of them lately, but they're all stored up and I'm ready to go as soon as things have opened up. One of the things I learned when I was traveling was to be more spontaneous, to be more flexible. I think I also discovered traveling by yourself is like a really interesting experience. I felt really free and independent and very adventurous. Something else that I did more when I was traveling was just like reflecting and like appreciating the space that I was in. So I started doing this thing where in every city I would buy a postcard and write a note to myself. And so now I have this collection of postcards and I've made it a thing. Every time I go to a new city, I'm going to collect a postcard and write a note to myself. Sometimes when you pick up like a really good piece of literature, you get lost in it. It like consumes your mind for days. And especially with plays, I have a lot of fun like reading them out loud, doing the monologues, picturing what like the staging could have been. And there's just like a particular art to writing plays that I really appreciate and that have a lot of fun reading. But I decided that I'm going to make my niche in medical humanities. And specifically, I'm interested in using performance and literature and poetry as a way to, one, process the medical experience for medical trainees and physicians who are practicing, and then also to bridge the medical and general community. And so what I see for my future is I would like to be a part-time academic and part-time practicing clinician. And so I'd probably work at an academic center. I'd love to teach medical humanities, to run a program like one that we have at UCI, where I am creating classes and organizing lectures and activities that help med students and residents reflect on their experiences and to think about how important it is to have a multidisciplinary and patient-centered view of medicine.
And now, let's hear Ashley's pitch entitled Long Day's Journey Through Addiction.
Take a walk with me on a journey back to the year 3400 BC, where the Sumerians are the first on record to cultivate the opium poppy. For centuries, opium was a highly sought-after trade item among kings and remains highly sought after today. In 2017, the opioid crisis was declared a public health emergency, and in 2019, over 153 million prescriptions for opioids were dispensed, resulting in a record number of opioid-related deaths. Opium and humanity share an 8,000-year history of desire and suffering, which we have not figured out how to break. My area of research is medical humanities, exploring literature and the arts as a way of better understanding medicine and bridging the gap between medical professionals and the communities they serve. One of the big questions I'm tackling is how do we address the psychological burden of addiction that makes treating opioid use disorder so difficult? How do we tackle the shame and guilt and loneliness of fighting an uphill battle that patients, their friends and family, and healthcare teams grapple with every day? My work, the Reflections Project, uses performance to facilitate healing and understanding by staging the experience of opioid use disorder. I directed a play reading of selected scenes from Long Day's Journey into Night, a Pulitzer Prize-winning play by Eugene O'Neill about a single family breaking down as they struggle with the fallout of morphine addiction. This reading is followed by an audience discussion with a panel of medical professionals. And for the launch of this project, I recruited patients, friends and family, healthcare workers, and general community members. And afterwards, people who had struggled with opioids wrote that the play reading helped them understand their experience and gave them a greater willingness to pursue treatment. Friends and family expressed stronger empathy and a greater willingness to participate in treatment efforts, such as family therapy. And medical professionals expressed stronger empathy and more compassion for their patients. Everyone wrote that the play reading changed their understanding and approach to addiction. What this means is we can harness the creative and connective power of literature and performance to help people take much-needed steps towards recovery and to give them better support. It also means, on a greater level, that the Reflections Project is a model for using the arts as an invaluable and underutilized way of bridging the medical and general community on complex public health issues, of which there are so many important questions for us to tackle together as a society, which we can bring to light through medical humanities. I hope that through the Reflections Project, people will join me on a journey, perhaps a long day's journey, towards a future where we can become a more whole society through facing these challenges together.
Now, Ashley, let's get to speak with you a little bit. So my background is in theater. I have my MFA in acting from UCI, so I love this topic. I'm curious, is your favorite playwright Eugene O'Neill, or do you have a favorite playwright in general?
I do. So I, as you can tell from the project, just really liked Eugene O'Neill. His work is just really gets at the complexity of relationships and is just really fun to read.
And do you find yourself wanting to perform all of the time, or are you liking the split between the academic side and then the performance side a little?
I do like this split. I find it's because I am not very good at performing in real life. I think in real life, I find I'm a little bit of like a spontaneous mess. I don't necessarily know what to say.
And when you are not doing this work, what's maybe something that not a lot of people know about you?
So let's see, I really enjoy baking. And so one of the things that I started doing this pandemic was when I finally got off the couch from my long Netflix session, as I said, I need a project. And so I decided to pick something that normally would be too time consuming and meticulous for me to do when I had places to be. And so I settled on making this mango tart. And it was something where I was going to make everything from scratch and figure out how to make it look pretty. And so, yeah.
A mango tart. All right, well, once this is all over, maybe then we can have a big party and you can share it with everyone.
Yes, we'll celebrate.
That'd be great. Well, thank you very, very much. That concludes the competition portion of tonight's event. So let's give our finalists a round of applause for those truly outstanding pitches.
Yeah!
Woo! I hope you all are cheering with us at home too. I'm loving this audience wall. And there's pom-poms. It's amazing. So now it's our job to do the hard work. We have to wait for a result. But to help us get through this process, I'm going to invite Dean Hayes back, as well as our past champions. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see everyone again.
Hi, Bree.
So I'll maybe start off the questions and then we can sort of have a discussion while the judges are in the deliberation room. Rachel, you are our most recent winner. So what do you think is the best addition to this new virtual format of the competition?
What is the best addition, you said?
Yeah, with it being a little bit different this year, what do you think is better with this one?
Well, I don't think we've ever been able to do those intro videos before, so that was really nice to actually get to know the background of the contestants as well as the questions afterwards, so we kind of get a full picture of who they are.
Absolutely. And then does anyone want to maybe jump in? I know that you haven't been with Grad Slam most recently, but how has Grad Slam maybe affected your career and how is it being back?
I guess I can jump in at that.
Go, Mallory, go.
Okay. I really feel like Grad Slam gave me an opportunity to put something to distinguish me on my resume, and it gave me something to talk about at job interviews, and it kind of proved that I could communicate well with people, and had confidence in that side beyond just my scientific skills. So I think that really helped me just take an extra step higher than where I was already.
One thing that I learned from Grad Slam is that on top of me finding my PhD research to be super interesting, other people also thought it was interesting. So I like that. And when I left grad school, I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to be giving presentations. But now in my job as a scientist at a startup, I give presentations every week. I gave 2 today. So I'm really glad that that hasn't changed and that Grad Slam helped me prepare for that.
Alana?
Oh, yes. Ditto everything they said. I'm still in awe by like all the pitches that just happened. But you know, for me, Grad Slam helped with getting the skills to present in a general audience, but also just appreciate other fields. I mean, we're not just talking about chemistry, which is what I'm in. It's all these other disciplines, and they're so interesting. So it just opens my mind a bit too to be exposed to all these different research fields, and it's just great. Yeah, I'm processing. Sorry, guys. Great pitches.
Dean Hayes, do you have any questions for anyone?
Well, I'll just say, first of all, Alana, that is my life. That is my job now. And it is such a cool job because I get to talk to some subset of 7,000 grad students every day and learn all of these amazing new fields. And it's as inspiring as you suggested that it might be. I guess the big question that I would have for all of you is, now looking back, you know, in 1 or 2, or in some cases 4 or 5 years later, what is the number one thing that you think whoever wins tonight should take with them to the next round as they go on to the system-wide competition? Because we have to beat down, 9 other campuses soon, so that we can crown our winner the system-wide winner. Love to know what advice you all have.
I guess my advice would be to just be yourself. Like, you won this competition by being yourself, talking about your own research and showing your passion. And that's exactly what would win you the competition in the end. So I think that really is important.
Completely agree. That was going to be mine as well. They're going to be awesome 9 other people, but like, you know who they are. Everyone is unique and so comfortable with themselves. So I think you just also have to bring yourself and be 100% you. And it shows on stage when you're with all these other rock stars too, but you're going to be a rock star also. So don't shy away for sure.
I would say another thing is you're inevitably going to be nervous. I'm not sure if the system-wide finals will be, pre-recorded or what, but try your best to work with Bree to tackle those nerves. And one thing that I wish I had thought more about in my preparation is that the audience in that room is there for you. They support you. And when you try to keep that in mind, that you're presenting to a friendly audience, hopefully that makes it a little bit easier and less scary.
Yes,
I absolutely love that.
Utilize Bree all you can.
I love that advice, all of you. Megan, I've always taken with me that in any presentation, the audience really wants you to succeed because they want an interesting presentation. And we got to all benefit from that tonight with 10 amazing presentations, and love the idea to just be yourselves. You are all such stars that being yourselves can't go wrong.
And then I maybe have one more question for everyone. I know that after using this pitch, it takes on various forms, depending on who you're talking to and where you are. Have you been surprised by how you've used your research elevator pitch? Have there been interesting situations that have popped up?
So last year, it was before Grad Slam, or in between the UCI Grad Slam and the UC-wide Grad Slam, I got to go with the former Dean Leslie to a graduate research advocacy day where we got to pitch why we should increase funding for graduate research at the Capitol. So that was a lot of fun. I got to repeat my 3-minute pitch to a bunch of legislators and staff members.
Yeah, I guess kind of similar. After grad school, I went on to do a congressional science fellowship where I worked for a senator for a year. And in that process, I interviewed with a lot of different congressional offices. So they all asked, what was your research about? And so I definitely used some variation of the Grad Slam pitch.
Alana?
Mine is short. My family, once they saw this, they're like, oh, okay, that's your research. I was like, oh, great. I never tried explaining it to you, which is such a shame. And so my mom, my dad, my brother, my uncle, it's come up so many times just for the people in my life. And that's been awesome.
And I would say that I've used those kind of elevator pitch skills to talk about my current work. So now whenever anyone asks me, what do you do? I have like a 2 or 3 sentence exciting summary of my job and why I like it. So that comes in handy whenever, you're meeting new people and you have that sort of discussion.
Yes, I love all of this. And I've had the privilege of being able to keep in touch with you all after Grad Slam is over, and I've been able to check in with your journey, and I find it genuinely inspiring that all of you have gone on to do such amazing things. And I think the only other question I really have is, what's been the thing that you found really helpful on your career journey? And we know how important the elevator pitch is, but is there something else that has helped you navigate the world after school?
Yes.
That's good.
Someone else can go first, I'm thinking.
This is kind of like what all the past champions said earlier. What you kind of learn by accident from Grad Slam, from the interviews and such, is just to keep living your life, maintain that work-life balance, because that's going to help you way later in life.
One thing that I've really benefited from is knowing when to ask for help, which is an important lesson that I learned in grad school. When to ask for help and when to ask for input. So transitioning from academia into an industry job, everything's been super different, and I'm incredibly lucky to have a wonderful boss. And whenever I have questions about simple things, be it science or be it office interactions, I know that I can turn to him for advice. So I guess my recommendation would be to find someone who can be your support system, find someone who will champion for you and help you navigate the next stages of your career.
I love that. And I think that for me, being able to be with all of you and all of the speakers tonight has been really impactful and really helpful for me on my career journey. And I want to thank you all for coming back.
Oh,
thank you, Bree.
Thank you, yes.
It's so nice to see you all.
It's so good to see you too, Bree.
Now, everyone, we are just moments away from learning who the 2021 UCI Grad Slam champion will be. But first, let's take one final look back at our past winners and their crowning moments.
So I think what really motivated me in the first place to enter Grad Slam was a desire to improve myself. Anytime I was giving a presentation at a conference or anything with an audience, my heart would start racing out of my chest and I got so nervous. So I figured the only way that I could kind of manage those nerves was to just keep doing as many presentations as possible and hopefully just get used to it. And so I decided to enter all of these different presentation competitions.
Participating in Grad Slam was new and exciting. One of the best things to come from my experience in Grad Slam was really appreciating the ability to communicate what I do in the lab every day to anybody, friends, family, my mom, my dad. It was the first time they had ever heard about my research in such a way, and I've carried this through to things that I do today in the lab.
To prepare for the final competition, I practiced my speech and memorized it. The most nerve-wracking thing was being worried about stage fright and worrying about forgetting what I wanted to say.
There's no such thing as a perfect pitch because every audience will have a different opinion, whether or not they're a judge or someone else. So whatever happens is meant to be, so just have fun. And this opportunity will benefit you in so many aspects of your career moving forward.
First of all, congratulations to our Grad Slam champion this year. I wish you all the best as you represent UCI on the system-wide stage. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would be to remember that your pitch is something that should be eye-opening and inspiring to your audience. Try to make it a story, make it inspiring, like I said, and I think that those pitches are extremely compelling and you will represent UCI wonderfully.
I think at this point, I would like to hear that everybody has done a really great job, and the competition is stiff every year, and so win or lose, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is that you've gotten something out of this competition.
I haven't experienced an event like that recently. And so if you are a participant now or you want to participate later, go for it, because it's an excellent event to kind of spark up something new in your graduate career.
This pandemic has changed everything, but not all the changes are for the worse. And we really appreciate you being here in our new format for Grad Slam. We're excited about some of the new opportunities it's given us to change the competition and try some new things.
The time we have all been waiting for has finally arrived. The judges' scores have been tallied and the final results are in. It's time to announce our 2021 UCI Grad Slam Winners Circle. To do so, I'd like to welcome back Dean Hayes.
I think we're getting all our finalists back on camera for a moment so you can see all 10 of them together one more time. All right, well, thank you, Bree. First, I just want to say what an outstanding job each of our finalists has done tonight. You all rose to this unique, to say the least, occasion of putting forth your best effort in a virtual pitch competition, virtual for the first and perhaps last time, we'll see. And it was truly an absolute joy to watch all of this unfold. I hope you are each proud of what you accomplished in this process. And now it is my pleasure to announce our third runner-up in the 2021 UCI Grad Slam Finals, Hamsi Radhakrishnan. Everyone will celebrate. Yay. Hamsi is from mathematical, computational, and systems biology, as well as neurobiology and behavior. Wow, that is a mouthful. You neuroscientists like to say a lot of words. All right, so next up is our second runner-up in the 2021 UCI Grad Slam Finals, and we have Jessica Vidmark from Biomedical Engineering in the Henry Samueli School of Engineering. Congratulations to Jessica. And finally, the moment you have all been waiting for, the 2021 UCI Grad Slam champion is Leslie Heed, also from Mathematical Computation and Systems Biology, and her daughter gets to see her proud, strong mama win tonight. So congratulations, everyone. I am so happy to congratulate Hamsi, Jessica, and Leslie, as well, of course, as all of our amazing finalists tonight. I am so impressed with what all of you did. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Wow, what a finale! I continue to leave Grad Slam so inspired and amazed at the work and resilience of our students and their passion for all that they do. I really hope you did too. I know that there are many ways you can spend your evening, even during a pandemic, and many demands on our time these days, so I am honored that you chose to spend some of it with us. I hope you feel as inspired as I do. And I want to take this opportunity to remind you that tonight's UCI Grad Slam champion will compete in the UC system-wide Grad Slam competition on May 7th at 9:45 in the morning until 11:15 in a live-streamed event similar to what you saw here this evening. Only our UCI champion will go up against the 9 other UC champions in a battle for the UC title and a first place prize of $7,000. We really want to be sure all of you return to support our champion and place your vote for the People's Choice Award, because that winner will also receive $1,000. So you can see there is plenty of prize money on the line, and of course the glory of the title and the Slammy. So be sure to mark your calendar for May 7th and bring your enthusiasm and your UCI Anteater pride back for more. Congratulations to all of the finalists on their outstanding competition pitches. You truly are the beating heart of graduate education at UCI, and I am so proud of your contribution to our campus this evening. You each did a wonderful job. And once again, thank you, our audience, our judges, and everyone who's been supporting Grad Slam for joining us this evening and for being such vital members of our UCI graduate community.
To all of tonight's finalists, congratulations on your wonderful achievement and contribution to Grad Slam 2021. And from all of us here at the UCI Graduate Division, I want to wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to cheer on our champion in May at the system-wide competition. Thank you so much. Good night.
Can't stop, won't stop.